Go.
Hey guys, this is Brian with Wash Authority. Cleaning some windows here down at the lake. So basically, you're just gonna start at the top window, work your way down. Everyone does it a little different. I start on the top and just go up and down. Sometimes in the corners, I'll give it a little twist. And I angle the brush just a little bit to go down the side. Just so, I'll bring the brush down here so you can see what it looks like. But the middle, there's a pad, so I angle it so the pad scratches, or doesn't scratch the window, but it gets everything that's on the window off that the bristles won't get. And I do that on both sides. Same thing, just going up and down. And then on the bottom, you kind of want to go side to side, just so you can get that pad on there again a little better. And then you go to the top, cascade, and then I take the brush off and rinse the window that way, because we have a system that pushes out a lot of water, and so our pressure is really good and we're able to do that. And then, like I said, you get the top ones first and just work your way from left to right. That way, whenever the water is dripping off of the sill, it won't leave a little drip mess like on the window right there if I just went right underneath me now.
So why do you do the edges first?
I don't know. That's a good question. That's just, it's easier to me.
I would say
Why
you
would you
focus on the edges. The middle kind of comes naturally is what I would think. That's the way I kind of, because the edges are what's missed. Very rarely you're going to miss the middle of the window, you know.
It does happen
and if you
sometimes.
focus on the edges, your middle's going to clean up just, you know, just fine. So, and that vertical rinse, how did you come up with that? Why do you use that instead of just holding the brush horizontal to the ground like everybody else?
Well, I found that if I rinse like a squeegee, I'll just go over here and show you guys. This is how a lot of people are taught how to rinse, and I found every once in a while, if you don't have enough pressure or
Don't have good
anything-
water flow, you think?
Yeah, I think it just leaves some brush marks or bristle marks per se, whenever you're rinsing. So this way, it's kind of like you see at a car wash, like a touchless rinse at the end to make that window really perfect. And then every once in a while you'll run into some frames that have oxidation on them. So you're gonna go on this is how you would do frames with oxidation. You would start at the top, scrub pretty good so you're getting that edge like Eric said. And then you're gonna cascade and rinse just that very top part and work your way over, doing that whole thing with all the frames that are oxidized.
So what oxidation is where the paint on the frames, typically aluminum frames, sometimes vinyl, but mostly white aluminum's where I see it the most. If you don't do that top edge like that first, some of that paint that you scrub will run down the window and make the window look worse than it did before you cleaned it.
Yep. And then you come back and you skip that 6 inches and you just get the rest of the window. And that's how you do oxidized frames there.
So it's kind of like cleaning the top couple inches and then letting that dry and then coming back and doing the rest.
Yep. And same thing when you're rinsing, you're just not going to hit the very top again.
Because if you hit the top, it's going to leave white streaks coming down.
Yep.
Okay. So do you like your pole angle? Like how do you choose your pole angle?
I make sure the brush is just completely flat against the window.
Okay, because you could change the brush angle too if you're in a tight spot.
Right.
But the idea is that the pull angle is not as important as the flat brush on the window.
Yeah, and then just so it's easier on your shoulders, you want to keep it as low as possible, typically around where your arms aren't going up like that, because that's just going to be super hard on your shoulders, and you're going to feel it the next day. So
For sure. And then as you go down, do you take the pull apart as you get lower windows, or you just collapse it?
So what I do, this is a pretty big pole. This is called a destroyer, and I realized this was about a 2-story home, and we have 10 attachments. So I took the bottom 4 off, and so this one says number 6 on it. So I already kind of did that in advance.
That way you're not you don't have to haul around the whole weight of the pole
Right,
just
because
to
it
do.
does get kind of heavy after a little bit of time.
Yeah, you're not going to use it.
Right. But yeah. And we do have different pads also to get different things. We have
So how do you choose your pads?
typically I use this. This one's called Blue Metal. It's kind of like steel wool. It just lasts longer. We also have steel wool pads. You can't use the Blue Metal or steel wool on an older home, just in case if there's older windows. If you know that the windows have been replaced, you can use them, but it will scratch those older windows.
Because that old glass is a little bit softer.
Right. So on those we have just I don't know exactly what the pad is called, just the normal one that it comes with, the standard one.
The green one?
No, not the green one, just the white one.
Oh, it's a white one. Okay, so that's
I don't
like
know what it's called.
Yeah, I don't know either.
You don't know?
It's not a magic eraser. It's almost like the scrub that you see on the bottom of a floor buffer, except it's cut to fit the bottom of this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We do have a magic eraser one as well, though.
Yeah.
And
Which I don't think we've used, but
not too often.
I don't think I've used it much at all.
No.
But
I typically stay with the blue steel, or there is a green scrub pad, and I don't know what that one's called either.
I call it the Hulk. I think
The
that's
Hulk.
what it's got, like a green hard rubber. It seems like it scrubs good.
Yeah. But I mean, you'll have to replace them every once in a while. Check them before you use them, because they do get worn. That's really all I can think about right now. I know we have really good water pressure. You typically want to do windows when it's reading at 0. Every once in a while we'll do it all the way up to 25 to 40. It's kind of higher, the higher rating. Once you get over 50, that's when the water starts to turn hard, and you don't really want to.
You leave spots on the
that.
window.
Right.
So I like to test before you start and then when you finish. Because if it's good when you finish, then you know the whole job's good.
And then you know if you have to change the resin before your next job or however that works. So.
And here we did a house wash first. So do you have a different approach if you do the house wash first? Or is it the same approach every time?
No, it's the same approach. Really, if you do the house wash first, you know that you're not gonna have to scrub as hard, just because that power washer is taking away some of that crud that's built up on the window already. So whenever I am washing the house and I have windows afterwards, I make sure that I rinse the windows really good. But yeah, of course you're gonna do the house wash first and then the windows. That way you don't have hard water spots.
That's a good idea,
yeah. Pretty straightforward with that, but.
So water fed pole, do you always use it, or sometimes you use traditional mop and squeegee? Like how do you?
So like obviously you guys can see this is a lot of windows here, so we're gonna use the water fed pole just because it does go faster, and with the second story windows, you don't have to ladder them all. And then again, with it just being hot outside, the sun's going to be hitting them, so you could have squeegee marks.
What's the number one thing you see that people forget when they're water fed pulling? Like something to make sure they got a good clean window before they leave.
I'd say people just don't scrub enough. Like right here, after we're done with these windows right here, we're gonna go check them, make sure they look good before we move on to another side. That way we know everything's looking good and we don't get surprised whenever we're done with all the windows. So
Yeah.
that
So
does happen
scrub
quite a
enough,
bit.
scrub enough, and then check it when you're done.
Yeah.
Because it's easy to think like you're scrubbing it. You're like, I scrubbed it 3 times. It should be good.
I like to tell people whenever you think you're done, do it again. So.
On your scrubbing.
Yep.
Yeah, and probably rinsing similar.
Pretty well. I feel like the Cascade, well, I guess we didn't talk about this. There are different types of windows also. There's, I'm having a brain fart now.
Hydrophilic.
Hydrophilic and hydrophobic.
Yep.
So, these windows are all
Hydrophilic.
hydrophilic. They like water. So, it's going to rinse a lot easier. If you do run into hydrophobic windows, that's when it is good to squeegee, kind of use the squeegee method, because you know you hit everything. But then even after that, I still cascade and rinse like this all the way down.
I think watching it, like hydrophilic is where it looks like glass. Like it runs down like in the middle of that window.
Yeah.
It runs down at
Kind of
solid.
looks like that.
Yeah. Hydrophobic is like Rain-X on there, like that bottom one.
Yeah.
It's more, and I think when you hold the brush vertical, you got a lot more water flow. Look how far it's cascading down, all the way to the bottom. Now turn it the other way and watch how far it cascades down. It won't cascade down all the way because there's not as much water flow in a single spot. Now as soon as you turn it sideways, look at it cascades, it all hits that bottom frame all the way. So I think that's why it rinses so much better.
Yep.
And you just kind of come up with that on your own. That's just what you found worked.
Yeah, pretty well. It's just, you just kind of, everyone has their own way of doing things, and that's the way I found it to be easiest. So,
Yeah.
yep. That's
Okay.
really all I got. Can't really think of anything else.